Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Catherine Ha podcast. Hello, and we are back with another episode today. And today's episode, episode 9, is all about my creative and spiritual awakening. I'm so excited to talk about this experience because originally I wanted to do a blog post, but I felt like the podcast would be a better vehicle for me to articulate myself. Yes, my first recollection of fashion and beauty was when I was around 8 or 9 years old. And, going back to this like creative and spiritual awakening, I remember so vividly, like it was yesterday. I grew up in Vietnam, and every morning before I went to school, I would go into my mother's bedroom to say goodbye. But I would always, go in and get so excited because I got to see her, watch my mom get ready. And she would apply like eyeliner from the inner corner of her eyes all the way out. And she always used this like angled brush, and she did it so meticulously, and it was always so beautiful. And then she would do her hair and her eyeshadow, and I just remember the when she did her hair, it's like these long curls, and I just remember how beautiful she looked. And it was like a magical transformation, and it just made me feel like amazed, and I felt so in love with like the power of beauty and that whole process of getting ready. I just thought it was so. I just realized like the power of beauty, and to express yourself and to be creative with it. It's really important. Um, and then from that moment on, I kind of decided to start, exploring my own creativity. So, I was 8 or 9 when I saw my mom, and then, as I got a bit more older, I had more independence, and I felt like I could start, you know, exploring my own fashion sense. And I had many phases. I had several phases. I mean, my first phase was when I was experimenting with like Zara and Topshop, and I loved it. I remember our family would travel a lot to Singapore and Thailand, and they had Topshop there, and we didn't in Vietnam. We didn't have Topshop yet, and I just remember mixing my outfits with like colors and contrasts and textures, and it was just always so exciting. And back then, I would always kind of plan my outfits with handbags. So I would always pick the handbag first, and then I would kind of like work my way back. Like handbags and shoes were always like my favorite things to start with. And then after that phase, I got into like I think in grade 12, everyone was into like sneakers. And then I was like, okay, well, if everyone's into sneakers now, I'll be into like hype beast and stuff. But then I kind of realized like, oh, this is not me. Like it doesn't suit me at all. So I was like, okay, this is not suitable. I'm not into it. And then I guess my favorite fashion era or phase that I went through was like my Alexander McQueen sort of emo phase. And this period of time was so pivotal to my self growth and artistic and creative expression because it these visionaries, these artists, they showed me the importance of being different and embracing your own uniqueness. So that's why I'm really drawn, and I'm very drawn to Alexander McQueen and Avril Lavigne and Lady Gaga because all these artists, they have the confidence and the audacity to kind of be themselves, and I really admire that. It took me a while to kind of realize about beauty. Like beauty for me is kind of like a spiritual journey. And it's so amazing how you can wear an outfit or put on like a type of blush or makeup and just express yourself in whatever way you choose. Like how empowering is that through fashion? And I felt like the more I'm learning about myself and just kind of growing up, and um, I just feel like I have a deeper appreciation for kind of my own originality and kind of having that unwavering, unapologetic, like this is who I am and this is how I'm going to show up to the world. And I feel like as I'm getting more older and not older, like I feel more rooted in who I am. And I feel like that's such a significant and beautiful feeling. Um, yeah, and I just feel like more comfortable in my own skin, and kind of like the art of fashion and beauty, it's becoming something much more deeper and something much more than what meets the eye. Yeah, and I fall in love with the whole process of getting ready, and I just find it really exciting. Like nothing makes me more excited than getting up in the morning and, wearing an outfit that kind of expresses how I'm feeling based on my mood. Like, am I feeling more feminine and soft and relaxed today? Or do I want to be more powerful and ambitious and professional and serious and dark? So I kind of like that contrast and how you can play with fashion. I think that's really amazing. What else did I want to talk to you? Oh, yes, going back to, Alexander McQueen and Lady Gaga, and that's why I'm wearing my scarf today. I was like, oh my goodness, this has been a like a long time. This is 2010, like 11 years ago. I'll never forget my first, kind of Lady Gaga experience I had when she came out with Alejandro and Bad Romance. And she was wearing, I remember Lady Gaga was wearing like those extreme platform heels. I think they were called like Armadillo by Alexander McQueen. I just think they were just so cool. And oh my goodness, I feel like this is like me in my bedroom in Vietnam, and I couldn't really articulate how I felt in that moment, but I just thought she was so amazing. And I think that's why Lady Gaga and Alexander McQueen, all these kind of like anarchy, kind of counterculture people, they artists, they resonate with a lot of audience, like a wider audiences, because it's kind of you know, empowering people to embrace their own uniqueness. And yeah, I think that's just really important. I think it's really important in today's world to show up in your own way and just be who you are, because I feel like you know, there are days where I feel, for me, like I feel like I'm letting kind of society and like all these societal pressures, kind of like I have to conform to this. Like I can't dress up today. I have to be too casual, like all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, actually, I want to dress up because this is who I am, and I don't know any other way. And I think I know that sounds so like, oh, this is so minute, but for me, that's a very pivotal. That's very big, because I was like, wait, who am I really? Like, who do I want to be? And, how do I want to express myself? Like, all these things are very important, because I feel like we should use our creative power. Like, that's a power, you dressing up, you showing up a certain way, and you dressing up the way that you are. That's how you make a difference in the world, and how you create something beautiful and unique so you can share it with others. I'm always inspired by people, like when they dress up, and like even when I went to Singapore, I can still remember I was like 10 years old walking up to Takashimaya in Singapore, and I saw this lady with this beautiful navy Balmain jacket. Uh, Navy Balmain jacket. Yeah, she looked amazing. And I think she was carrying like this beautiful like Hermes Birkin, or with alligator skin, or was it the Givenchy? I don't remember, but I just remember that feeling of like, wow, I want to be like her. Like, this is fashion. It's so powerful. So, yeah, going back to the creative and spiritual awakening, I feel like my spiritual awakening is something that I will forever be grateful for. And it it's made me enjoy life in a very different way. And by spending time in nature, by, doing my hair and makeup, and dressing up, being myself, I'm learning to really reconnect with my own self, and even maybe like a higher power. There's definitely some transcendence in the process of kind of getting ready. It's like meditation and art. For me, it's like fashion and beauty. And it's allowed me to really appreciate life much more. And I feel like the older I'm getting, the more younger I am at heart. So now I'm kind of starting to explore back to like the hobbies I used to do, besides the gym. I love swimming. I was actually a really competitive swimmer, even though I didn't want to make it. I didn't actually want to join the swim team because we had to wake up at 5 a.m. and, swim in the cold. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm going to sleep in. But yeah, I enjoyed swimming. I loved volleyball. I enjoyed soccer a lot, and tennis. I kind of wish I think my high school trajectory would have been a little different if I had not allowed what society told me I had to be as a young lady, right? Like, oh, don't play soccer, don't play volleyball, it's too masculine. I remember that. Even my grandma was telling me, and I was really upset, but I didn't know what to say. I was like, okay, I'll listen to you. But now I'm just like, okay, now that I'm, independent and my age, I'm gonna go back to all these sports that I used to do growing up, and kind of just do it. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It was just kind of I didn't know how else to kind of express how I was feeling at this stage of my life. And I felt like a blog post would be just, it would be too flat. There would be no emotions. And I want to really kind of show you, I wanted to express myself. And I felt like, the podcast would be the best way. And so, yes, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And I hope this podcast inspires you to become fearless and like unapologetic in, in who you are as a person and who you want to be. And why am I thinking about Alejandro again? But yeah, I just love that song by Lady Gaga. If you haven't heard it, I highly recommend you listen to it. But it's such a beautiful song. I think it's like about un unreciprocated love. Oh, that's a long word to pronounce. Oh, I had everything up. I like the lyrics, I'm reading it off. But I remember it was like, I know that we are young and I know that you may love me, but I just can't be with you like this anymore, Alejandro. And then like the song and it's just like her and like her smoking pipe and like her dancers. I was like, oh my God, this is just amazing. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you really liked it, please subscribe, give it a like, and I am excited to see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.